What's going on, guys? Jacob Orth back here with another video of Jacob's Life in Vegas, coming to you guys from a different setting because I've got a different kind of video with a special guest here.
Hey there.
So a lot of you guys know this is Lacey, who's been on the channel many times before over the years. If you're brand new, you're gonna see her more on here,
Hey.
don't worry.
If you're brand new, where you been is what I wanna know. Hello.
Exactly. So you guys, Lacey, when she comes on here, she talks about real estate. That's what we're here to talk about today, okay? She's a realtor here in Vegas, so for years I've had people ask me, hey, can you have a realtor help me? This is who I send people to, okay? So she holds your hand start to finish when it comes to the home buying process here in the Las Vegas area, whether it's Las Vegas, North Las Vegas, or Henderson,
Yes.
as we're talking about today. So you guys need to contact her team looking to buy a home here. Link will be down below, okay? If you need to sell your home where you're living first, that's fine. If you're renting where you live right now, that's fine. If you're not gonna buy here for a few years, that's fine.
We really wanna talk to you like now. It doesn't matter, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Her and the team will get in touch with you. They will help you through the process. So talking about buying a place in Henderson, okay? Now Henderson.
You know, I love Henderson.
Yes, Henderson, everybody knows Las Vegas, but a lot of people, when they start looking to move here, Henderson is a place that pops up on the radar real quick.
Always.
Right next to Las Vegas. So they are next to each other. They are separate cities. They're separate towns, separate police, fire, city council, mayor, I mean, everything.
Yep.
So Henderson's popular. We're going to be talking about why. But let's talk about just the home buying process, okay? So for someone who's watching this, likely out of state,
Yes.
you know, they want to buy a home here in Southern Nevada. Let's, you know, give them the quick run through of how it's going to work.
Okay, so good news is the real estate process is pretty standard across the board when it comes to whether it's Henderson, Las Vegas, or North Las Vegas. It's not going to be different. It's pretty simple. So step number one when you want to buy a house in Henderson is click the link in the description below. And I'm not saying that for any reason to sell you anything. I'm just telling you, we will make this process customized to you. We want to talk to you now, even if you're not going to be moving here for 5 to 10 years. Trust me when I tell you, we've already had this happen, right, Jacob?
Yeah.
We've had people reach out through the channel 3 years ago and they just finished closing on their house like last month, right? So this has happened multiple times. We mean it when we say we care about your process. We want to make sure it's easy from start to finish. So don't think your online research is going to get you there. I promise you. Just start with us. So that's number one, that's step number one. But really it's pretty easy. When you're buying a house, you know, you wanna get pre-approved for a loan. We'll happily connect you with lenders to choose from. We wanna make sure that you have an understanding of like what parts of the city that you wanna move to or where you might be thinking. We wanna understand your lifestyle and wanna get an understanding of really what you're looking to accomplish when you move here and why Vegas is so exciting to you. Because if it's just because of the Strip, then we're gonna make sure that you're in easy access to the Strip. If it's just because of the outdoors, we're gonna make sure that's a part of it. So that first phone call is gonna incorporate all of these steps, which is connecting you with a lender if you need one, making sure you understand what the layout of Vegas looks like, knowing what you're gonna get for your money and where you're gonna get the most bang for your buck and what the timelines look like. So phone call first and then all the rest will follow.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So if you're coming here to look to moving to Henderson, someone's looking, they want to buy a home, whether it's Green Valley, whether it's Inspirato, you know, old downtown, whatever the case is. Henderson's been growing like crazy.
Oh my gosh, it's nuts.
It's over 300,000 people now.
Yeah.
So people coming to look here, they're going to buy a home. What are any fees, costs, anything because those can vary from state to state.
They can vary from state to state, and so can the timeline also. So I'm glad you're asking that. So when you're buying a home, it's really important to understand that, you know, whether you're doing it with a loan or not, I'm gonna pretty much speak with people who are using a lender because that's the majority of our buyers, but when you're utilizing a lender, you know, there's a lot of fees that go into it that a lot of lenders are not apples to apples by comparison. So working with someone who we trust, who we know doesn't take advantage of you is really gonna be very important. You can obviously use anybody you want, but we'll start from there. So you're gonna have your down payment. So whether it's gonna be a 3.5% because you're doing an FHA loan, all the way up to 20% because you're doing some other kind of loan, it's gonna depend on the type of loan and also what you want your monthly payments to be, right? So your down payment, typically we run between 3 to 10%. We kind of think about that with our clients, but the lender's gonna be the one to guide you there. So your down payment, and then you have closing costs. So closing costs are fees like the escrow company's fees, obviously the fees that go to the lender for processing the loan. Our team, we don't make money, we're free for buyers actually, but our broker who we work under has like a flat fee that's a one-time flat fee that's for processing the compliance paperwork, things like that. All of that gets rolled up into those closing costs. And depending upon your lender and also on your loan, your closing costs can be anywhere from 1 to 3% of that purchase price. So if you're buying a house for $300,000, just think 1 to 3% of that price on top of your down payment. So you get your down payment and your closing costs. And those are the first two things that you need to make sure you have squared away before you even start offering on houses or even moving forward with the process at all. When you're in contract, let's say we did the search, we found the house, we put the offer, we got it accepted, woo!
Everything's going well.
We're doing very well, right? you have to walk through the door with your earnest money. Good news though is your earnest money is going to be subtracted from your original down payment that you've set aside. So that's not extra money, that's just coming out of the down payment and gets applied to the purchase price of the home. And then once you get into contract and everything's going great, you're going to want to get a home inspection.
Yeah.
So typically home inspections, and that has to happen quickly, like really fast, otherwise you might run out of time and then not be able to cancel if God forbid something's horrible with the house, right? We want you to kick the tires and make sure you're not buying a lemon, right? So basically at the end of the day, you've got your down payment, your closing costs, your earnest money comes out of that. Separate from all of that, you're looking at $300 to $600 for the initial home inspection. Depends on the home inspector, depends on the size of the home, lots of different variables there. And then in addition to that, you're gonna have your home appraisal, which is where the lender calls an outside company, has them go as a third party, neutral third party, to decide what the home is actually worth. So they make sure you're not buying a house that's worth like at least what you're paying for it, maybe more hopefully, but no less, of course. And then they can make sure that it's not being influenced by either agent or anybody who might be involved in the transaction. So that's going to be an additional $300 to $600 or $700. Again, just depends on the outside company and what their fees are. We don't really have anything to do with that. That's really all done through the lender. So again, down payment, closing costs, earnest money comes out of that. You've got your inspection, you've got your home your home appraisal, and then that's really it. Then you get to the end of the transaction. There could be other things that come up, like let's say you found a horrible leak or something during the inspection and you went, I better get a structural engineer or an extra detailed plumber to go out. Those might be other fees that come up, but for the most part, those are kind of the standard.
Okay, and someone's watching this like from out of state, they were getting ready to move here from Seattle or New York, Chicago, whatever. I mean, start to finish, what are we looking at as far as time frame?
Okay, so start to finish, I'm gonna say once we found the home and we have the offer accepted, your time frame is gonna be about 30 days. If you're buying with cash, it could be as soon as 15 days. It just depends. Every now and then we get into a scenario where things are delayed due to somebody deciding to use an out-of-state lender. Don't do it. Someone deciding to use a major bank, please don't do it. Things like that can really add kind of a mess to the process, or needing extra, I don't even know, like stuff that comes up, like if it's a house with a well or something with a septic system, there's things that come up that can often cause delays. When that does happen, we can go up to 45 days, but I've rarely seen anything go beyond that. Typically a 30-day turnkey kind of closes is what you can expect. A lot of reasons that people cannot believe that we're able to close so quickly is because we don't use lawyers to close home escrows here in Las Vegas. We're actually an escrow state. So we have title companies and escrow companies that work together to help us close those loans fast. They do all the cloud checking, they check all the titles to make sure you're not buying something that has a lien or something horrible sitting on it from a previous owner. So
we've talked about process, particularly if you're coming from out of state. We've talked about fees, right? Costs you can expect. So let's talk about neighborhoods in Henderson, because
my favorite.
As it's been growing like crazy, so have the neighborhoods, okay? Henderson is expanding rapidly.
Yes.
So remember, Henderson is its own city. So they have their own mayor, their own city council, police department, fire department. I mean, so it's its own separate city from Las Vegas.
Yep.
So, I mean, where are the biggest, like you say, growth we've seen in Henderson?
Absolutely. So I would say one of the #1 fastest growing neighborhoods. Again, this is like subdivisions essentially.
Yeah.
These are like master plan communities.
Communities within the city of Henderson.
Yeah, so Henderson here, and now we're looking at little, like the chocolate chips on the cookie, right? So one of them is Inspirata.
Yes.
Inspirata is, if you Google Henderson, Inspirata is going to come up first. They were rated one of the top, I think it was like the top 10 fastest growing neighborhoods in like 2018.
Damn.
Henderson alone was voted one of the safest cities in the world, I think, or in the United States, I think, at one point in time, right?
Yeah, I've seen it over the last decade, I've seen it on a couple different lists.
So there's a reason, right? It's a smaller population. It's separated from the city of Las Vegas. So all those crime stats and things like that are specific to Henderson. They don't get to incorporate the Las Vegas stuff. So it definitely helps when it's a little bit of a smaller, niche down kind of grouping of people and things that you're looking at. But Inspirata is beautiful. It's a master plan community. They've got, I think their long-term goal is to have 13,000 homes total. They're at about a 7,000, 10,000 mark right now. So they're getting close to the end. And this is in the very southernmost tip of Henderson, right by the I-15 freeway, kind of.
Coming like right up to like Sloan Mountain.
Right up to Sloan Mountain. So it backs up to the mountain. It's absolutely gorgeous. A lot of different builders, our local builders, are building homes there so they're all different, right? You can get the gamut. You can get a condo, you can get a townhome, you can get a luxury home that has a private gate. You can really get anything you want. It just depends on what money you have.
And you're also right by the Henderson Airport.
Yes.
You're right by the
Executive
Raiders
Airport.
The Raiders practice facility.
Yes.
And a community that's going to continue to grow.
Absolutely.
Over the years.
From a location perspective, I always laugh. People say, "Oh my God, it's so far out there." It's 17 minutes from the Strip. Okay, like.
You ever buy like the M Resort? Like
what?
You're not,
like it's
you're
genuinely 17-minute drive from the Strip.
Yeah,
like
you're
it's
not
not far
that
out
far.
there, but that just tells you how spoiled we are here in Las Vegas. I swear
Yeah.
it's ridiculous. So Inspirada, very fast growing, beautiful. Price ranges are getting up there for that area because it's so popular and they're getting towards the end of their development, at least that I'm aware of.
Yeah.
So just be prepared. You know, it's definitely awesome. But Inspirada also offers a lot of community offerings, which isn't typical in a lot of the other city areas of the city. So built-in parks, beautiful parks. They've even got a coffee shop in the middle of the neighborhood. They've got events that happen for the huge pools, like 3 or 4 pools. So it's really a turnkey experience. You walking into a community, you're not having to figure out who your neighbor is. You're literally there. Your neighbor's there and you're all taking advantage of all the experiences. They even have like I think they do a farmer's market twice a month. So it's really, really cool. So very community oriented, great for families or first-time home buyers who just, or even really new Nevada residents who don't know what the hell it is to live here. This is a great place to start. Yeah.
So Inspirada is one that's real popular. Let's talk about one that's like damn near on the border of Las Vegas and Henderson, but it's in Henderson's Green Valley.
Yes.
Green Valley's been popular for a long time.
Green Valley's kind of the older, and I don't say old, but the older part. It's one of the first master plan communities in Henderson, pardon me, and it's been around for 30-something years. But those homes are awesome. I actually own a home in Green Valley. I love it. A little bit of a larger lot opportunity for you. You know, as you get newer in the homes, the lot sizes are much smaller unless you pay a premium. So if you're looking for something with that little bit of land, and by a little bit of land, I'm saying like it's still under an acre. Let's just be very clear. It's under a half acre usually, but it's not going to be right on top of your neighbor. Green Valley's a great area to go. They also have great rated schools. It's awesome. It's another really big popular thing about Henderson is there's highly rated schools out there. A lot of money in Henderson, that helps. So Green Valley's awesome. I do love it. It's very expansive. And you can get basically anything from a home that's 35, 40 years old all the way up to something that's only in the last 10 years. So just depends on what you're looking for. They even offer some custom homes, some really cool subdivision neighborhoods with gates and guard gates. So a lot to offer inside of Green Valley specifically. I love Green Valley. It's got a little bit of a vintage Henderson vibe, so I like that. But it's not all vintage. And you know, vintage to us is like 25 years old. Vintage to everybody else is like in the 1800s. So.
1880s home.
Exactly.
Yeah. So it's also Green Valley too. Is like right as you're coming into Henderson.
Yes.
So it's pretty much border Henderson, Las Vegas.
Really very close to the airport.
Yes,
Yeah.
Very close to the airport. So I mean, it's been a popular neighborhood for decades in
Yeah.
Henderson. Now, if we're talking about other popular neighborhoods, let's hop to another one that's been. This is a newer one.
Yes.
Let's talk about Cadence.
Cadence is cool. So Cadence is on, now if you're thinking about the layout of Henderson, if you're looking down at Henderson, you've got Inspirada, which is at the very southernmost tip, and it's kind of over close to the I-15 freeway, right?
Yep.
You've got Green Valley, it's kind of in the middle. Cadence is all the way out to the east side. It's East Henderson, essentially. It's at the very edge of Henderson, almost all the way to Lake Las Vegas, or Lake Mead even, on the way to Lake Mead. It's about a 20 to 25 minute drive to the Strip, just to give people
a little more distance from
a
the
little
Strip.
bit more distance, but it's awesome. It's one of those master plan communities, just like Inspirada, and I think they're rivaling Inspirada now, which is kind of funny. Inspirada's a little bit of a higher price point, but Cadence is coming up underneath it, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
They've got a really beautiful 55 plus community within the Cadence proper, the little community that they have set up that's gorgeous, it's gated, gorgeous homes, very quiet. I have several clients have purchased out there. And Cadence also has, again, just like Inspirada, big, huge park in the middle, dog walking parks, and they've got a school, trails to walk, events that they're going to be doing for the community. So not quite as expansive as Inspirada. It's kind of a smaller version of that. I'd say the only thing to keep in mind about Cadence is it does bump up to the very vintage version of Henderson, kind of old Henderson is what we call it, and around Boulder Highway and Main Street, Water Street, things like that. So that's an area that's kind of being revived, if you will, right now. There's a little bit of gentrification going on down there. They've got some cleanup happening. So just knowing that, you know, there's a reason that the prices aren't quite as high in Cadence as Inspirada, and that's genuinely because they're kind of battling with the fact that they're surrounded a little bit by some of an older area that just needs a little bit of love. But it's definitely getting that love. So if you're looking at this video now and it's 5 years from now that you're going to buy, do not cut Cadence out. It's definitely an option I think you should consider.
And it is, as we talk about like downtown Henderson, Water Street. I mean, you go down there, that's where now the Silver Knights have their practice facility, the Henderson Silver Knights, the hockey team there. So they have the Silver Knights there. Last few years, Henderson had their own water park built, right? Cowabunga Bay. That was several years in the making. I mean, so Henderson as a city has been growing, but it's still small enough that, like, you know, I know in the police department there, a lot of the police officers actually like know each other by face, and they have 4. I think 4 substations, maybe 5.
I think it's 5. Yeah, I think they just
have
added
5
another
now.
one for Cadence. Yeah.
But they have a few hundred police officers,
Yep.
so it's still that kind of tight-knit community where a lot of the police and fire see each other, they know each other.
Yeah, very cool. I mean, and listen, just Henderson's big, but it's still quite small. Like, it's definitely, to your point, it feels a little bit more neighborhoody than maybe the main Las Vegas area. The other thing I was going to say about, to your point, just in that downtown, the old Henderson area, they do like car shows on the street. They do a lot of farmers markets down there. They've got a lot of community-driven events in that old Henderson area that a lot of people really get a kick out of and enjoy throughout the year.
Yeah, so I mean, as we're talking like maybe some other Henderson neighborhoods here, let's talk about something like, Seven Hills. That's a popular one.
Yeah.
I know they do community events.
Absolutely.
They've got some high-end homes if you
Yes,
want
they do.
if you want to go there.
Yeah, so I'm gonna do a twofer for you because
All right,
Seven
go for
Hills
it.
is actually directly next to Inspirada, which is also directly next to Anthem. They're literally a stone's throw from each other, so it's hard for me to separate them because they're basically the same neighborhood. So Inspirada, we already talked about. Seven Hills and Anthem are a little bit older. These homes were built in the 90s, early 90s, mid 90s, late 90s, early 2000s.
Old by our standards.
Old by Las Vegas,
By
Las
Vegas
Vegas
standards.
They are some of the most luxurious, beautiful homes within the neighborhood of Henderson, or within the city of Henderson, pardon me. A lot of gated communities, a lot of celebrities
course.
actually live out there, a lot of golf courses, beautiful, beautiful, kind of up on a hill, gorgeous cities of gorgeous views of the valley, and yeah, they're beautiful. So definitely a higher price point in those areas. Anthem, you're going to pay a little bit of an additional fee just because they have extra HOA fees and things like that to go with it. You're wrapped around an entire golf course, so I mean, there's definitely going to be some premium to that. But yeah, you can buy a home anywhere from, I'd say at this point, probably mid 500s all the way up to multiple millions of dollars in both Anthem as well as in Seven Hills, and I love that.
Oh yeah, they've definitely got it. And there's other luxury neighborhoods too in Henderson that are newer. Last few years, talking like Ascaya.
Ascaya, McDonald Ranch is also
Yes.
another one. Those are a little bit towards the Green Valley section of Henderson. Again, all of this is like 5 minutes away from each other, so it feels so strange to break it up because it's all the same place.
Yeah, it's not that hard to drive from one of these to the other.
It's 5 minutes, but it's really cool. McDonald Ranch actually offers not only the homes that are in there that are custom, beautiful multi-million-dollar homes, gorgeous, but they're now they're doing additional custom homes. I actually have a client building a custom home up there right now on Dragon Ridge, I think, or Dragon's Back or something, to where the side of the mountain looks like a dragon's back, and they're building these gorgeous custom homes that are just nestled right into the side of the mountain, which is pretty awesome. Same thing with Ascaya. I heard, a little birdie told me that I think Steve Aoki lived up in that neighborhood.
Wouldn't shock me.
Pretty sure during COVID I heard some stuff going on in the canyon that's behind his house. It was pretty dope. So if you are a fan of Steve Aoki, I don't know if he still lives there, but that's definitely an area that I know that is very celebrity ridden, and it's pretty exciting.
Yeah, so I mean, that's really like Henderson in a nutshell. If we're talking about you're trying to move here, the cost in this, I mean, with buying a home and that kind of thing, and then just a rundown of some of the neighborhoods. Henderson is very popular just for a lot of good reasons. Families love it because it is quiet. People like it because they can be a comfortable distance from the strip while still being close to the action. It is known year after year, you'll see it on some list somewhere, for a city of its size to be ranked as safe as it is pretty impressive.
Yeah.
And like I said, it's got a bit smaller community feel, and that's why some people like it, because if they call police, if they call fire, it's not an area not as big as Las Vegas. There's less ground to cover, so sometimes people feel like they get better service from the local government because it is a bit smaller in that regard.
I mean, I'm just going to touch on this. It's a running joke since I was in high school that if you get pulled over in Henderson, there's going to be 5 squad cars around you. Now, we used to joke.
Like nothing happens.
Right, well, yeah, basically. And we were in high school, it was always like, they don't have anything to do, and blah, 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 blah. But the reality is it's awesome. That's why it's so safe. They take extra measures to make sure that no matter what, that there's 5 squad cars surrounding you when you have a headlight out at 16 years old. That's what happened. So anyway, we'll just move on from that. I did want to say too, Henderson's really such a beautiful community. There's so many wonderful offerings, as is the rest of Las Vegas. And we talk about this in a lot of our videos, Jacob, how Vegas is set up in a grid pattern. It's got beautiful freeways that are very wide, and traffic here is not really traffic, which is amazing.
Easy to navigate for the most part.
Very easy to navigate. And what I love the most is that every area of the city is like set up in quadrants, and all of your creature comforts are going to be there. So in Henderson, even in the subdivisions that we just talked about, each and every one of those subdivisions has their own Target, their own this, their own that. Like, Starbucks galore, or too many, in my opinion, everywhere. So just don't ever think that you're going to move here and assume that you'll have to be traveling across town to get to that favorite whatever that you need. It's probably going to be set up right down the street.
We covered a lot.
I know we did. I love doing these videos with you.
Lacey, Thank you.
Jacob, thank you.
She always does. So guys, that's a pretty good rundown of Henderson here. So if you're looking to move, whether it's 2022 or beyond, it's a great place to live. It's a great option, whether it's Henderson, Las Vegas, North Las Vegas. When you are getting ready to move, contact this lady right here. The link will be down below. Her and her team will help you from start to finish with the process, okay?
Damn right we will.
So Lacey, thanks for coming on.
To infinity and beyond. Thank you for having me.
Link is down below to contact Lacey and her team. Thanks for watching, guys. That is it for this video. I am Jacob, and this is My Life in Vegas.